members of the Labor Committee. I'm Ted Blickwedel. I'm a retired Marine and Rhode Island resident who became a licensed clinical social worker after I retired from the military. I'm here today to testify in support of the Workplace Psychological Safety Act, Bill 8044. I worked as a counselor here in Rhode Island for the VA in the Vet Center program in Warwick from 2009 to 2018, where I provided mental health care for fellow veterans. In 2017, during my tenure there, I filed a complaint with the OIG to have VA officials revise their harmful clinical productive policies that compromise quality mental health care for veterans and the welfare and morale of their counselors in the VA Vet Center program. Subsequently, a federal GAO investigation I helped instigate to Senator Reid validated my allegations. This resulted in congressional legislation passed into law in 2023 to ensure the VA is accountable to protect the quality of services for our veterans, as well as safeguard the welfare and morale of counselors who care for them at over 340 vet centers nationwide. My crusade to rectify these problems gained attention locally and nationally. I've been featured on NBC, NPR, to include the Military Times and other publications to raise awareness about these issues. And my book, Broken Promises, chronicles this whole ordeal as well as the unjust and toxic retaliation tactics employed by VA leadership in attempts to silence me. Their methods of reprisal involved isolation, distancing, shunning, bullying, marginalizing, gaslighting, mobbing, and false accusations. Specific incidents of this I endured, for the sake of brevity, are described in my written testimony, which I submitted to each of you via email prior to this hearing. These attempts by VA leaders to defame my character included improperly implying that I was a mentally unstable combat veteran through fallaciously insinuating I was hostile and dangerous, even though I never committed any acts of aggression or threatened anyone. This abusive and malicious retaliation was intentional, designed to suppress, discredit, and cancel me through wrongfully trying to destroy my credibility and turn my colleagues against me by unfairly belittling and degrading my intelligence and integrity. And basically, through their deceitful denial and manipulation of the facts. These orchestrated retaliation strategies I portrayed are normally used against those who speak truth to power when they report waste, fraud, misconduct, and abuse. It is common practice by government agencies, corporations, and other bureaucracies to protect their agenda and avoid responsibility for negligent guidelines, policies, regulations, and inappropriate behavior, which have damaging effects on employees and people receiving services in their agencies. This is all also well documented, besides my book, in another book by Jacqueline Garrick, who she co-authored with Marina Buck, The Psychological Impacts of Whistleblower Retaliation. It lays out the specific tactics, some of which I named. It's intentional. This is standard operating procedure, and it's got to stop. Just because of the ramifications it has on people trying to do the right thing. These vicious, horrific, and ruthless reprisals I encountered adversely impacted me on numerous levels in ways that were physically, mentally, emotionally, legally, financially, and professionally devastating, which I poignantly conveyed in more detail in my written testimony. Overall, the effect of this for me was more traumatic than any combat experience I ever had because of the level of betrayal and the moral injury that it caused. In conclusion, the consequences of this corrupt and vindictive mistreatment are oppressive, destructive, and demoralizing for whistleblowers and their families, friends, peers, and colleagues. It often results in severe physical, psychological, emotional, legal, career, and financial damage, which includes PTSD, depression, and sometimes suicide. The vast majority of whistleblowers in federal, state, and local levels continue to suffer and endure toxic reprisals inflicted on them by leaders, officials, managers, and administrators who abuse their positions of power. And as you heard, frankly, Rhode Island's no different. It's pervasive everywhere. This is outrageous and inexcusable. It is unethical, scandalous, and appalling that these bureaucrats are allowed to keep going on with this discriminatory malicious, and despicable behavior with impunity. This is unacceptable, and they must be held to account and ultimately be removed from their place of authority, like my supervisor and upper VA management never were. Therefore, I strongly urge this committee and the Rhode Island House of Representatives to pass the Workplace Psychological Safety Act into law in order to end workplace bullying, harassment, discrimination, and violence in Rhode Island in workplaces. This will also give you the opportunity as a legislative body to establish a precedent for other states to follow your lead, since everyone deserves to be in a non-hostile work environment where they can feel safe and thrive. Thank you for your time.